Okay, we're going to be doing another percent assignment here. You got 3 examples, then we're going to do you got 1 problem to do. Okay, John purchased a computer and a TV for a total cost of $2,000. He later sold both items for $2,260. How much did he originally cost, knowing he sold the computer for 10% more than the purchase price and the TV for 15% more? Now you want to know the cost. You want to know the cost of the TV before they put it for 10% more, and the same with the computer. So, cost of TV, cost of computer. Now you kind of want to do the same thing with your percents that you've been doing. Now first off, there's only 2%, but you don't want to just write 10% of and 15% off. Here's why. Because it's not of, it's more, okay? So that means you need to take 100%, let's just start with our first percent, and add 10%, and then it's 110% of, okay? So you got to do that first. Then the other percent, 100% plus 15%, that's 115% of. Now you're like, well, isn't there supposed to be a third percent? Nope, not on this assignment, there's not. So like, well, how am I going to set up my table? Well, you will, okay? Now, here's what you want to put. The 10% was for the computer, so you want to put computer there. And then the 15% was the TV. Now you don't know the cost of either one, so of X, of Y. Okay, now you're going to set up your table. You don't have to label it. Okay. Oops, before I went to the table, I need to make these just decimals. So that'd be 1.10 times X. That'd be 1.15 times Y. So you're going to put 1.10, 1.15, and you're going to write NA, because there's not a third percent. Then you're going to put X, then you're going to put Y, and then you're like, well, what do I put there? Well, you're going to put what the cost was at the beginning, $2,000. Alright, now you're going to multiply. 1.10 times X is 1.10X. 1.15 times Y is 1.15Y. You're like, well, what do I put there? You're going to put what the price ended at, 2,260. Okay, now you're good to go, but there's one thing you want to put up here. You want to put, because you got to know what answers what, so computer goes here, and just put TV there, so you know like what, when you find your first answer, you know what it goes for. Okay, so you have 2 equations, there are the second 2 rows, and you're going to make your system. So we have X plus Y equals 2,000. Don't like decimals, so I'm going to times by 100. So I take 100 times 1.10. It's 110x. Then we take 100 times 1.15. That's 115y. Then yes, I'm going to take 100 times 2,260. Make sure you write that whole thing. Okay, put ones and apply elimination. So you got 110 there, so you're going to times by 110, then you're going to times by 1. So you times the rest of that by 110, and the rest of this by 1. Okay, so 110 times 1x is 110x. 110 times 1 is 110y. Then I take 110 times 2,000. Write that whole thing. Remember, you need a 22 with 4 zeros behind it. The bottom, you're just timesing by 1. So 10 times 1 is 110 times 1. That's a 110. 110 times 1 is 110x. 115 times 1 is 115y. And that's going to remain 226,000. Okay, we want to add, but that only adds to 0 if you make one of them negative. Make that negative and that negative. So I take a 110 and add a negative 115 to it. I get negative 5y. Then I take a 220,000 and add a negative 226,000. I get negative 6,000. Okay, your x is bye-bye. Then you divide each side by negative 5. So negative 6,000 divided by negative 5 is 1,200. Okay, go to your y and put 1,200. That's for the TV. That's why you put that there. Okay. Then, guys, look at this column where you just put 1,200. To find the remaining x, you can just take 2,000 minus 1,200. And that's 800. Okay. If you want to waste time putting 1,200 into the equation, fine, you'll get the same answer. But by that I mean 1x plus 1y equals 2,000. 1,200 goes in for y. If you want to do it that way, fine. Okay, you'll get the same thing. Okay, you purchase a lawnmower and a weed eater for $550. You then turn around and mark the price of the lawnmower up 20% and mark the price of the weed eater up 10%. You sell the items together for $634.50. What's the original cost of each item? Cost of weed eater, cost of mower. Okay, so your percents. Now it says up 20% and up 10%. That means you don't want to put 20% of and 10% of. You're going to need to take 100%. Add 20% first, and that's 120% of. Then on the other percent, you take 100%, up 10%, that's 110% of. Okay. Now off this side, you want to put what this is for. The 20% is for the mower, and this is for the weed eater. Okay, so you don't know either one. Those are your answers, okay? So you move the decimal. So it would be 1.20 times x and 1.10 times y. If you want to put, don't have a third percent. You're just going to write NA, okay? Okay, so 1.20, 1.10, NA, and then x, y. And then you're like, what do I put there? You only need something to go there with x and y. Your first price, $550. Okay, then down here you just multiply 1.20 by x. That's 1.20x. 1.10 times y. If you put the 1, it's still 1.10y. What do I put there? Well, where did the price end at? $634.50. And we have our two equations here and here. Okay, so you have x plus y equals 550. Don't like the decimals in that second equation, so I multiply by 100. So 100 times 1.20x is 120x. When you multiply by 100, the decimal just moves forward twice. Okay. 100 times 1.10 is 110y. Now I take 100 times 634.50 and write that whole thing, 63,450. You got to go slow through this. Okay, so obviously nothing's going to add to 0 here, so 120 and 1 times the rest of that by 120, and the rest of this times 1. So 120 times 1x is 120x. 120 times 1y is 120y. 120 times 550 gives me 66,000. And the bottom's just the identity property, meaning it will just all stay the same because you're just timesing it by 1. When you times something by 1, it just stays the same. 63,450. So add, you got to make that negative to get your 0x, and that's got to be negative, and so does that. So I take 120 plus negative 110, that's 10y. We take our 66,000, add negative 63,450, that's going to be 2550. 0x out. Okay, now divide by 10. 2,550 divided by 10 is 255. Okay, so y is 255. Now, that's the second one. That's the weed eater. So the weed eater costs 255. Okay. Now you have one of two options. You can just subtract here. Okay. To find the remaining x, which is 300. Well, a second, I put the wrong thing. It's 255, which would be 295. Or you can write out the first equation and just have 255 going for y. Then you times, that's 255. Okay. 1x plus 255 equals 550. Then you can minus your 255, and that's 295. 1 times x equals 295. When you divide by 1, it's still 295. Okay, last problem in the video. 2 appliances have been purchased for $3,500. If a 10% discount was applied to the first item and an 8% discount was applied to the second item, the total price of the purchases was $3,170. What was the original price of each item? So you find the cost of item 1 and the cost of item number 2. Okay, so put those percents, but this time it's going to be 100%, but a discount means it's 10% off, okay? So instead of plussing the percents, you're going to minus them. So it's 90% of, and then the second percent is 8, that's 92% of. I'm minusing because on a discount, that means it goes down, okay? Okay, of x of y, so 0.90 times x, 0.92 times y. And they didn't give you the names of the items, like what the items were, so just put number 1 and number 2. Okay. So you're going to put 0.90. You're going to put 0.92 and then NA. Then you put X and Y. And then what do you put there? What the cost started at, $3,500. Now, that's 0.90X. You times those. 0.92 times Y, 0.92Y. Okay, and then what goes there? What would the cost end at? 3,170. Now before you set these up, this was item number 1, and this was item number 2. Should have done that on the last problem. Okay, so equals, equals, and you have two equations there. X plus y equals 3,500, and then 0.90x plus 0.92y equals 3,170. Okay, apply ones in front and use a limit. Oh shoot! Multiply by 100. I don't like those decimals there. So 100 times 0.90 is 90x. 100 times 0.92 is 92y. That's easy to forget. And then 100 times 3,170 is 317,000. Now, 1 and 90, so you're going to times by 90 and times by 1. Then they'll both be at 90x. But then the rest of that is times by 90, and the rest of that's times by 1. So 90 times 1x is 90x. 90 times 1y is 90y. And then 90 times 3,500 is 315,000. In the bottom, you're going to get 90x, 92y, and then that's going to be 317,000. Okay, you will get your 0x if you make that negative. But then 92 and 317,000 have to go negative. So 90 plus negative 92 is negative 2y. And 315,000 plus negative 317,000 is negative 2,000. Then divide each side by negative 2. And negative 2,000 divided by negative 2 is positive 1,000. So that's your answer for y. That's item number 2. Okay, now you can either just take 3,500 minus 1,000 to solve for the x, the other letter, or you can write down your first equation and just have 1,000 in your answer going for y. 1 times 1,000 is 1,000. So we have 1x plus 1,000 equals 3,500. Then you minus 1,000, minus 1,000. That's 2,500. 2,500.